Jayhawks get set to take on the Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns a bubble team right now, and Kansas trying to move a step closer to yet another Big 12 regular season title. They have won the last 10. 4 of them have been shared, but have won or shared a piece of the Big 12 regular season championship an incredible 10 years in a row. Oklahoma's already won today. Kansas could take a big step closer to another regular season title if they could beat Texas here this afternoon. A look at the starting lineups for the Longhorns. Yancey and Taylor in the backcourt, and a bigger lineup for Rick Barnes. Texas has a big team. Lammert, Holmes, Ridley up front. No Cliff Alexander to the starting lineup for KU. Jamari Traylor will step in there. Harry Ellis is having himself some kind of a run right now, Jay. He's had 47 points in his last 2 games.
But Kansas not that big across the front line. They go 6'8", 6'8". Kelly Oubre playing the 3 at 6'7". Texas a much bigger basketball team across the front line.
Is there a better venue in college basketball to watch a game than Allen Fieldhouse?
It's the top shelf of venues in any sport. This is the St. Andrews of college basketball. Every road in this game comes through Lawrence, Kansas.
Mike Stewart, Steve Olson, Kip Kissinger are officials, and we're underway. And Ellis going right to the rim, strong, rejected. Texas leads the country in block shots, and Jonathan Holmes has one seconds into the game. Texas just 6-9 in league play. This was a team a lot of people thought was going to be a top 10 team. They've had some injuries. Isaiah Taylor missed 10 games, but it has been a frustrating season for Rick Barnes and the Longhorns.
Well, offense has been difficult to generate for this Texas team, and Isaiah Taylor, the best player on this team, can get into the lane anytime that he wants.
He does. Misses the jumper, and the rebound down to the Jayhawks. Frank Mason pushing.
Kansas cannot just settle for jump shots against Texas. They've gotten one wiped away when taking it to the basket. But one thing that Texas has done, especially in Big 12 play, they put their opponents at the free throw line. So if you continue to attack, you can get some fouls on Texas and some free throws as well.
Right now, Taylor covering Oubre, giving up a lot of size in that matchup, but Oubre staying out of the perimeter as the shot clock winds down. It'll be Ellis with a little hook shot, too strong. Traylor keeps it alive, and here come the Longhorns.
Traylor got away with the push, almost able to knock it back out. And Kendall Yancey's got to have a good game. He has been on fire of late.
He had a 29-point game, 6 threes in a game against Iowa State last week.
Well, he's shooting it with a lot of confidence, and for a Texas team that's been struggling to score at a high rate, he's got to be able to get some points.
As that one swatted away, but got it back.
Nice block by Oubre right out of his hands.
Lammert knocks down the 3. Connor Lammert is part of that loaded freshman class for Texas. 6'9" junior out of San Antonio.
That's one of the things that can help Texas if their forward position can make some shots from the perimeter.
Great save there by Wayne Sheldon Jr. off to Oubre. And he'll draw the foul on the drive. Now the numbers speak for themselves when you talk about Bill Self, a national championship almost unbeatable in this building. His average year here at Kansas has exceeded 29 wins.
There aren't many coaches in the country you could say have more league titles than they have home losses. Yeah. That's one of the most remarkable stats in college basketball.
And for Rick Barnes, of course, a Final Four on his resume, 2003 with the Longhorns. He's made the NCAA 15 of the 16 years he's been at Texas, but the year he didn't was 2 years ago, and they're in danger of not making the NCAA tournament this year. Again, we'll talk to Joe Lunardi a little bit later on, and right now, Joey Brackets has Texas as one of his first 4 out. It goes without saying, Jay, but we'll say it anyways. Obviously, a road win at Kansas would really boost the old resume.
Kansas trying to trap in the backcourt and 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure back into man-to-man. And Dan, that last possession by Kansas, an example. Kelly Oubre drove into size and was able to get to the free throw line. Just because Texas is bigger doesn't mean you don't challenge them at the rim.
Bill Self was on his team at a practice yesterday not to settle for jump shots. Called it fool's gold, even if they're going in. Taylor scoops it underneath, and Ridley has it rejected.
Boy, what a block by Kelly Oubre. He took it right out of the hands of Yancey earlier, and then proven he can do it against a much bigger foe. in Cameron Ridley. That is a big-time block. All 11.
5 on the shot clock for Texas.
But Ridley has got to get position on Traylor. They're not going to get it off. They didn't even know.
It didn't look like there was any awareness.
And that's on the point guard. That's on Isaiah Taylor. They didn't even know that there were 5 seconds left. That's got to be all 5 guys communicating and echoing commands as to what the game situation is. You had to stop action and basically a chance to huddle. It's almost like in football. You had a chance to huddle and let everybody know, here's what we're doing.
Marcus Holland into the game for Texas, taking the place of Yancey. Holland, a terrific defensive player.
Yeah, one of the best defenders in the country.
Mason. Yeah, that's a goaltend. Tie game.
Well, Kansas doesn't have the same kind of power inside that they've had in years past, where you could get an angle, move your man up the lane, and they can throw it in. Their 2-game, not as effective this year as it was last. But Frank Mason can still get to the basket. Kelly Oubre can still get to the basket. Points in the paint come in different ways.
Well, Oubre has been active today, just deflecting that ball out of bounds. A guy who hardly played at the beginning of the year, a freshman. And Bill Self actually said, some of that's on me. I should have played it more earlier than I did. But once Oubre went in there, you could see him blossom and the confidence grow. He's been a little inconsistent, even in conference play. But, boy, when he's on, Jay, he is a tremendous talent.
Well, at 14.7 rebounds at Kansas State. Good position by Ridley.
Can't finish.
But Ridley really struggles when you keep somebody between him and the basket. He gets an angle, he's going to score. But if you've got somebody in between him and the basket, he is nowhere near as proficient.
And it'll be Lammert with a foul trying to guard Ellis. Barry Ellis has been so active and aggressive, says Bill Self, in this recent run. 23 points last week against TCU, 24 in the loss in Manhattan against Kansas State on Monday.
And he's been 19 of his last 26 coming into this game. He'll be able to shoot 73% in a couple games. That's big time.
Now Rick Barnes goes small. Yancey comes in. Lammert sits down. So Yancey goes to guard Oubre, and it's Holmes who switches on to Ellis.
A little flex cut and wide open was Mason on the catch.
Stays with Kansas. Kansas won the first matchup between the two down in Austin earlier this year, 75-62. A game that Texas led 6 minutes into the second half before the Jayhawks got away from them at the end. Oubre taking advantage of that size mismatch.
Oubre just set a little diagonal up screen. He was wide open. The screener oftentimes is the guy that's going to be open rather than the cutter. Not a very good defensive job on out-of-bounds under by Texas, but well executed by the Jayhawks. Well, Selden is doing a nice job on Kendall Yancey, forcing him further out on the floor. That catch was made out of 25 feet instead of 19.
Now Yancey the drive, and it's knocked out of bounds. Stays with the Longhorns, 16 to shoot. Taylor to inbound for Texas. Yancey's open and buries it.
And Kendall Yancey is coming off a great game that he had against Iowa State. You mentioned the 29 points, but his last 3, he's made 9 of 20 from three-point range. One of the few Longhorns that are knocking down shots with regularity.
And it was Taylor's injury and a concussion suffered by Javon Felice kind of opened things up for Yancey, and he's really taken advantage. Ellis known, and Traylor's going to get called for a push in the back, and he will. To take us to the first media timeout of the game. The Longhorns up 1 early.
ESPN's exclusive.
This is their goal.
All right, Shannon, thank you. It's an incredible streak, and they're in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny. The longest streak winning your regular season conference championship. UCLA, John Wooden's great teams, won 13 in a row. Mark Few's Gonzaga program won 11 in a row. That ended a couple of years ago, and now Kansas is at 10 and certainly in good position to get at least a share of the title, Jay, again here this year.
One of the more remarkable streaks in college basketball history. How many programs go? You know, it's one for the big toe. They've got every finger covered. Now they're going for the feet.
Yancey baseline, nice feed. Holmes loses it on the way up.
Yeah, if Kansas were to win an 11th straight, I think you got to say it's no longer the Big 12, it's the Big One.
Well, and every year you hear it goes through Lawrence, and every year that turns out to be true.
It's really remarkable. Just an incredible streak.
Holland on the drive draws the foul. They have won the Big 12 regular season championship when they lost all 5 starters from the previous year.
Yeah, they won it with everything. They won it with everybody back. They won it with half the guys back, guys going pro. It's a remarkable streak, which speaks to not only the way the players have performed and the high-level player they get, but the consistency of coaching. Now, there's a coaches league. There are great coaches in this league, but Bill Self is on the highest shelf of coaches nationally. I mean, I think, frankly, in any sport. He's one of the greats in any sport. He's a Naismith Hall of Famer for sure.
Yes, without a doubt. A national championship, 10 consecutive Big 12 regular season championships, and there's the stat Jay was talking about. Fewer losses at home than regular season championships. 188-9 in this building under Bill Self.
That's some full court pressure being brought on by Texas. Miles Turner. And now he's going to drop back. I thought it was a little odd that he's up front. He's dropping back. Kansas needs to break this to score.
And Selden, he was going up with bad intent right there. He was going to jam that if it hit. He had it knocked away from him at the last second. And again, that's something that Bill Self wants to see. I mean, Selden's built like a football player. He wants to see him use that strength and athleticism.
You know, when you go right at a shot blocker and you can get some body contact, you can get some fouls. But also, when you go for a block shot, you get into rotation. And that can open up the offensive glass. So Kansas has to go to the glass to try to get offensive rebound opportunities. They'll be available.
Brandon Lucas off the feed from Perry Ellis.
Kansas doing a great job of moving the big guys around and putting them in ball screen situations. They pass out of a ball screen, the screener wide open, rolling to the basket.
DeMarcus Holland off a screen from Miles Turner, who's checked in. He's got the ball right now. And he traveled.
Well, as soon as Landon Lucas sets this screen, the pass is out of it. And then that opens up a nice little lob pass. You'd better get up there. Prince Ibeh had better get up there and put some pressure on that pass. Otherwise, Kansas can pick apart this defense. And it's an excellent defense.
Brandon Green on the floor now for KU. The lob again. Yancey, and a foul before the shot, but 2 back-to-back jams by Kansas.
This is just Kansas's ball screen continuity. The same thing on the other side. A ball screen by Perry Ellis. They pass out of it, and as the ball is reversed, they just slip right to the basket, look for the lob. If you're not there putting pressure to take away vision, Kansas is going to pick you apart. They've run this for years, and they run it very effectively, and it pulls big guys away from the basket where they're not used to being.
Now, there's a play Texas worked on in practice yesterday. As you say, this is nothing new from Kansas with ball pressure on the inbounds from Ellis. A difficult spot from which to inbound the ball for Isaiah Taylor.
Very difficult. Anytime you're in the deep corner, makes it difficult to get it in. Plus, you're right on top of the opposing players.
Javon Felix with the ball now into the game for Texas. Cameron Ridley has come back in for the Longhorns.
A nice job by Landon Lucas to contain.
Tough catch by Turner and the finish. And that's what Rick Barnes would like to see. Turner hanging out in the paint a little bit more and way out on the perimeter a little bit less.
And he's got to become a better runner of the floor. Changing ends is something that Miles Turner needs to improve upon. Nice pass.
Ellis facing up on Turner, running hook. Yes!
Well, Kansas looking to get the ball inside and attack in the paint.
All 5 field goals have been in the paint.
They may be smaller, but they're not just going to settle for jump shots. And that's going to open some things up. And the guy to watch is Brandon Green because he can get hot. I think he's the best shooter on this Kansas team.
47% from beyond the arc on the season. Good ball movement by Texas. Runner for Taylor won't go. He gets it back and finishes.
Well, Lucas had that right in his hands, and it looked like he was looking for the outlet rather than corralling that ball. That was right there for him to grab. He just didn't grab it. Nice pass.
And the corner three, no good for Selden. Rebound by Holland. Texas with a chance to push it. Felix will pull up the three. Offensive rebound by Turner. Follow no good, and a foul underneath going against Kansas. Good action on the glass there by the Longhorns.
Well, nice job by Texas to push the ball up the court.
Foul is on Lucas. Big Monday presented by Verizon. It begins at 7 Eastern time as Virginia sitting on the 1 line right now. They will take on Raheem Christmas in Syracuse. Then at 9 Eastern right out of the Big 12, Oklahoma and Iowa State. Big Monday on ESPN. Cameron Ridley heading to the line for Texas, a 61% free throw shooter. He is 6'9", 285. A couple of years ago, lost a lot of weight. He was well over 300 pounds.
Well, he's a guy that's got to make his impact with paint under his feet. If he can get deep position, he can be really effective. And he was most effective that I've seen him play this year against Baylor. He had a double-double, 12 points, 11 rebounds. He also had 7 of those as offensive rebounds.
Yancey back in for Texas for Taylor. Devontae Graham is into the game for the first time for Kansas, a freshman from Raleigh. And also Hunter Mickelson, a 6'10" red shirt junior from Jonesboro, Arkansas, as Bill Self goes a little bit deeper into his bench.
Well, Mickelson transferred in from the University of Arkansas. Now that he's got essentially 2 point guards in the floor with Mason and Graham. And Mason can move off the ball and operate basically as a 2-guard. Cut his shot a little bit more than just running the offense.
And Green just lost his footing. He says he was pushed, but the call is a travel, and he'll be back over to Texas.
I'm not sure he should have been given the ball in that situation. There's really nothing for him to do with it.
Felix, a starter a couple of years ago at the point for Texas. Good outside shooter. Missed a couple of games with a concussion earlier this month. He and Jonathan Holmes both suffering concussions this year for the Longhorns. Screen by Ridley. Show by Mickelson.
And he does a good job showing. Really contains.
Holland dribbled it off his foot. Numbers for Kansas. Mason stripped. Back comes Felix. He's got Holland, and Holland will draw the foul and head to the free throw line. So Texas, through the first 8:09, hanging in there with the number 8 team of the nation, leading by 1. When we come back, we'll break down the Big 12 and around the country, take a look at how things are shaping up for the NCAA tournament.
Allen with the championship on the line.
Are you saying, Joe, that if they win today, it puts Texas in and they can't fall back out again?
Oh, they absolutely can fall back out again, because this is a team that, you know, let's be honest, Jay, they haven't been able to get out of their own way a lot of times this season. But, you know, we're always taking these snapshots of where the field is at any given moment.
Yeah, just checking. So it may put them in today, but it doesn't actually put them in.
Correct. Well, I don't think you or I have a vote on that, unfortunately.
Joe, we'll pop up when we have a chance here. The 1 seeds and the 2 seeds. I think everybody's pretty familiar with where teams are right now. As you look at Kansas, what are the odds that they could either move up to a 1 or may fall to a 3 based on how the next couple of weeks go for them?
I think pretty unlikely that they'll move in either direction. I think they may now have too many losses realistically to get back to the top line, and unless they were to lose, you know, early in the Big 12 tournament against a truly lower seeded team in what is an otherwise great league, they won't have any bad losses really either of late. So they're probably as nearly locked into a 2 as you can be with 2 weeks to go, and that would be the number 2 in the South in the Houston region.
You know, Joe, we talked the most about who are the 1s and who's on the bubble, but something I wanted to ask you, whenever I see projections of 1 and 2s, I see Wisconsin in the same bracket as Kentucky. And one of the goals, if you're a 2, is to try to avoid where Kentucky is and being in the same region. Why is it always seem that Wisconsin and Kentucky are winding up in the same region? It's
a great question. Unfortunately, the rules of bracketing don't allow it to be any different unless the committee decides to override what's, you know, already been decided as the rules of the road here. So you put the 1s in the most geographically sensible way, and you do the same thing with the 2s, avoiding only conference conflict. So they wouldn't put Duke and Virginia as a 1 and a 2, let's say, or Kansas and Iowa State if it came to that. So Wisconsin comes up on the board, whether they're 5th overall or 8th. The nearest spot for them is Cleveland, and geographic preference is given. And what the committee would then do is try to put in a weaker 3 and 4 to balance the top quadrant of the bracket. I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm saying those are the rules.
Joe Lunardi will be back at halftime with more bracketology. Joe, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Dan.
So that last question interested me about Wisconsin winding up with Kentucky. And what Joe is saying is that geography can override the old S curve, that being that the strongest one wound up with the weakest two. If you're the strongest, if you're the Wisconsin Badgers and you're the strongest two, and you wind up in a bracket with Kentucky, that's a pretty tough hand you've been dealt.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that think it's not right, that you should go strictly by where you're seated rather than how close you are to one of the venues. Yeah. And I don't think it's the right way to do it, but as Joe said, we don't get a vote in this.
Meanwhile, a 15-15 tie here between Texas and Kansas as we near the midway point of the first half at Allen Fieldhouse.
Well, one thing Kansas needs to do is get on the defensive glass, because Texas is getting into the paint and they are getting on the offensive glass.
Holmes has it rejected at the rim, and it'll be Kansas ball.
Kansas has really been doing a good job of attacking the rim. And that last possession that Kansas had the ball when Perry Ellis took it inside, that was a heck of a take. And then his quick second jump to get an offensive rebound. That was the first offensive rebound opportunity Kansas has had in this game.
And Perry Ellis has scored the last 8 points for Kansas. Selden. And Ridley got all of that. Oubre runs it down, then loses it. And Holmes misses the reverse.
And just didn't go strong enough. Those are the kind of things you have to have on the road.
Ellis will head to the free throw line.
Well, there was some contact on Perry Ellis. Rick Barnes saying it wasn't enough to blow a whistle. But to Kansas's credit, they keep putting Texas in a position to foul. We talked about it before the game, Dan. Texas will put you at the line if you attack them.
Ellis at the line after the second foul on Cameron Ridley. So he's heading to the bench. Principe coming back in, and we're heading over to Shannon.
Well, Coach Barnes told his guys during that last time out he wants to see more movement on the defensive side, particularly with those post guys. Isaiah Taylor also urging his guys to shrink the floor to try to defend against all those paint points.
And Kansas doing exactly what Bill Self wanted them to do offensively, as you said. Get the ball into the paint. Don't settle for jump shots. Ellis with a big hand as he heads out, having scored 10 consecutive Kansas points. Traylor back in and away from the ball. Foul on Devontae Graham. That's the second on Graham, and that'll bring Mason back into the game for the Jayhawks.
But Frank Mason has really had a terrific year for Kansas. He has not played his best basketball of late, but he has played really, really well throughout the course of the year. Devontae Graham was hurt earlier in the year, and Mason had to take over the point guard position. And I think really solidified that from the beginning of the year. And a position that could have given Kansas trouble throughout the year has had solid contributions from Frank Mason from the beginning.
He is third in the Big 12 in assists. And if you asked Bill Self November, December into January, who's your best player been, he would say, without hesitation, he would say Frank Mason. I think Perry Ellis is making a run for it here near the end of the year, but Mason has been really, really good this season. And now Miles Turner is heading to the line, 1-1 for Texas.
A little jockeying for position down low. Now Texas in the 1-1 with 10 minutes to go in the first half.
And Turner, a guy with a nice touch, 83% from the free throw line. There's no disputing some of the raw abilities that Turner has. He's 6'11", 240. He can shoot from outside. Nice touch from the free throw line. Only had 1 rebound in his last game, but before that had double-figure rebounds 3 games in a row. Kind of tantalizes you with his talent.
Well, he is super talented. He's had his best games against lesser competition. Against the best teams, he's not played his best. And this would be among the best teams they played.
What a tough left-handed layup for Mason.
Well, both Mason and Taylor are looking to take each other off the dribble. And Taylor, of the two, the better penetrator, but Frank Mason He is strong, he's quick, and he loves to get into the lane.
Good screen by Turner, and then tough catch in the paint by Turner. And a hold, a foul against Kansas. That is going on Wayne Selden Jr.
Picked off up top, and that's a foul. Selden gets there and just impedes. Anytime you impede the rhythm, speed, balance, or quickness, they say, of an offensive player, that's a foul. Now, you could probably argue that rhythm, speed, balance, and quickness is impeded on almost every play in college basketball these days.
I'm not familiar with any of those attributes myself. But, Mike Stewart actually, and he's doing it to Bill Self again right now. And I don't know about you, I like when an official does this. He put his hands kind of behind his back as if to say that Selden wrapped his arms around the midsection of the Texas player.
It's fine. It's fine when the officials explain things as long as they don't stop the game to explain it. If they're doing it during the stop action, that's great.
Tied at 19. The Jayhawks playing without Cliff Alexander. If you weren't with us early, as Ellis is back in, right back into the score sheet as well. Cliff Alexander's being held out by Kansas today as a precautionary measure because of a potential NCAA issue. And what a burst of speed we just saw from Isaiah Taylor.
Now, Bill Self talking to the officials that Perry Ellis got bumped on the other end, got nothing. But how about this? The crossover after throwing long. The crossover past Jamari Traylor and then going in between Traylor and Perry Ellis. And then getting that to go in without putting it off the glass. Well, Isaiah Taylor has got a ton of ability. He is crafty, he is slithery getting up the floor, and he can basically get the ball wherever he wants.
And Texas back on top. The foul on Traylor was his second. He goes to the bench. We just mentioned no Cliff Alexander. So Landon Lucas is back into the game now for Kansas. Both teams are pretty deep, and given the number of fouls, that depth may be tested for both teams. Brandon Green can really shoot it. This is the three. Ellis runs it down and saves it.
Green shooting about 50% from three-point range in Big 12 play. Coming into this game, he's 22 of 44 from three in the Big 12. That is big time.
And he had 4 of them in the win over Texas down in Austin.
Well, how about eBay putting pressure on that shot? Stayed in front and made Frank Mason shoot a challenge jump shot. Challenged by a 7-footer. Frank Mason trying to go under on those ball screens. Good cut by Taylor.
And a no-look behind the back pass to Turner. And Bill Self wants a timeout.
That cut was a great cut by Taylor, going into an open area and then over the shoulder pass. Texas with the lead in Allen Fieldhouse. He immediately cut into the middle of the lane and created that opportunity. And Isaiah Taylor, who has been playing well of late. He's struggled at times after coming back from an injury. Missed 10 games earlier in the season. And if he can play at this level the rest of the way, Texas will play in the NCAA tournament.
Mason passed up the jump shot, goes to the rim. eBay stood him up.
Wow. There's a lot of contact there. And as long as eBay was straight up, but if he brought that arm down at all, that's something the officials usually call. But give Mason some credit for attacking.
eBay is by far the best interior defender that Texas has. Averages over a block a game in just 10 minutes per game. Staying with Ellis. Green is open for 3.
He's getting clean looks. Just has to knock him down. And Green's one of those guys, when he gets hot, he can hit 4 or 5 threes in a game. And he has hit some big ones this year. When he's had pressure free throws and clutch free throws, he has made them.
He's a confident kid. Yancey, good ball movement by Texas. And Ellis taps it over to Oubre.
And he got fouled by Miles Turner. They just didn't call him. Here's where he drives.
Mason with a pass fake, a drive, and a lay-in.
Well, how tough is Frank Mason? He may be small, But he is not afraid of anything.
And he will have a chance to complete a three-point play when we come back. He's been driving all afternoon long. Second left-handed layup for the Kansas point guard. 50th anniversary year. 60 years ago tomorrow, Kansas defeated Kansas State in the first game ever in this building. You talked about remarkable stats and facts. Now, this one goes a lot further back than Allen Fieldhouse, but Phog Allen's a part of it. Since 1898, so we're talking about 117 years ago when the Kansas basketball program was born. In 117 years, they've had 8 head basketball coaches. It's incredible.
Well, when you win this much, you don't have to fire anybody.
Oh. Although Dr. Naismith, he's the only one who doesn't have a winning record as the Kansas head coach. But I guess when you invent the game, you get a bit of a mulligan there.
You get a free pass when you invent the game. And plus, they were very nice to Canadians back then.
That's true. I appreciate that. Oubre slams it in, and a foul call on Yancey as well.
That's Kelly Oubre making an impact on the game with his length and athleticism. You know, earlier in the year as a freshman, he wasn't playing quite as hard. I'm not sure there was a foul there. I don't think that he was touched. We'll see on replay. No, he wasn't touched. That might have looked like it by the official, but he wasn't touched at all. It was just he held on to the rim and fell. Yeah, that was just a mistake by the official. But it just looked like a foul. But Kelly Oubre earlier in the year, anytime you come from high school, oftentimes you don't know how to play as hard as you need to at this level. And he has to be playing much harder for longer stretches. And you can see what he's capable of. He's going to be a terrific player.
Wayne Selden playing hard, comes up with the steal. He tried to jam it, and they play on.
That's not a foul? Wow. That's amazing. The other one was a foul. It wasn't touched, and that's not a foul. What a tough game.
Kansas by 3. Taylor.
That was a settle.
Mason having a big half for Kansas. Perry Ellis as well. Ellis already with a dozen.
Also 6 rebounds.
And eBay just too long and too good at blocking shots.
So you got to move the Texas big guys around before you attack them. And you're not going to be able to get a shot over Prince eBay like that unless you launch it up falling away.
Taylor with a crossover. Somebody got a piece of that. He kicks it out to Felix. And we have a foul, I believe, going against Kansas.
Looks like it was on Wayne Selden.
Yep. That'll be his second.
Brandon Lucas was able to knock it away from Isaiah Taylor when he went to the basket.
And Selden becomes the 3rd Jayhawk with 2 fouls, 10th team foul. So double bonus here for the Longhorns.
Brandon Green checks in for Kansas.
Brandon Green back into the game as Selden heads to the bench. And Felix will sit down, and Holmes will return for Texas. Been a quiet day so far for Jonathan Holmes.
Well, he's had some quiet periods. He knocked down a couple of threes against West Virginia. You know, his confidence has been low. He's not shot the ball well. He knocks down a couple threes. Then he got ejected after he was pushed. He retaliated, and the referees caught him doing it. They had no choice. They had to eject him for a flagrant.
Lucas, another block. It was eBay again.
But Texas can challenge you at the rim.
And at the other end, Marcus Holland will lay it in, and the Longhorns going toe-to-toe with the Jayhawks here at Allen Fieldhouse.
You talk about turning defense into offense. Usually we mean turnovers. That's off a blocked shot started to break.
Ellis from the elbow. How many times have Kansas fans seen him knock down a shot like that?
Mid-range, and he can hit a 3, especially a trail 3, but mid-range, putting it on the deck. He's a really good interior player. Just doesn't have a ton of size. Kansas in years past has been much bigger. This year the size is with the Longhorns.
Taylor behind the back.
Nice pass.
And eBay with the finish.
Wow. And Isaiah Taylor is really taking this game over off the dribble, and he has made some spectacular passes.
Ellis picks up his dribble now, finds Oubre.
Well, Kansas has to get some movement. They're standing right now. You stand, you're going into 3 shot blockers.
Oubre barely grazes the rim on the 3. Lucas, the rebound, but can't finish. And now Taylor pushing again. And tried to thread the needle through traffic. It will stay with the Longhorns.
Isaiah Taylor goes up here, gets right behind the defense, and Landon Lucas comes off to put some pressure, and he finds Prince Ibeh wide open. And whether he blows by you or whether he backs you in, he's got the ability to make something happen.
Look at those numbers: 7 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and maybe most importantly, no turnovers for Taylor. The speed that he plays at sometimes lends itself to turnovers. 11 in his last 3 games, but none today. Turner, a wide open 3, short. And Oubre, another rebound for KU.
Isaiah Taylor putting up triple-double type numbers. It's just a little bit slow in its offense right now. It's like the ball is sticking. Everybody catches it trying to make a decision instead of get to the open man.
Green has it slapped away from behind by Taylor. If Isaiah Taylor can sustain this level and play at this level on a game-in, game-out basis, that makes a world of difference to the Longhorns.
Well, one thing that Texas has to have, and in this game for Rick Barnes would be nice, is for Jonathan Holmes to play like the Jonathan Holmes of earlier in the season. You know, he's had to play a lot of 3 because of the size of this Texas team. He's probably more suited for the 4, but still, he's got to start knocking some shots down.
Mason finds Ellis. Taylor slapped it away. Mason got it back. Shot clock's at 2. Ellis, no. Battle for the rebound, and it belongs to the Longhorns.
Well, does Texas make it difficult to get something at the rim? Well, what a poor pass by Taylor there. He's passed it so well, then makes a bad decision in an advantage situation.
Nothing that Holmes could do with it. Oubre and a foul. Timeout on the floor. They keep trading the lead back and forth. It's Texas up by 1.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to
you. Years for one of the great programs in college basketball. There's Warren Corman, the architect, we are told, of Allen Fieldhouse, who is here 60 years later. And as you mentioned, it's what'd you say? It's the
St. Andrews
of college basketball. It's hard to argue that point. Max Falkenstein, one of the nicest people you'll meet in a long time, broadcaster here for Kansas basketball.
One of the legends, not only here at Kansas, but in broadcast history. And the free throw line is going to continue to be a big factor in the game. Kansas is going to keep attacking the rim. They're going to get some shots blocked. But if they can get some fouls on the big guys of Texas and rack up some free throws, that's going to be an efficient place for Kansas to score. Some fade screen, ball screen action.
Yancey draws the foul. And it'll be on Hunter Mickelson. Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, continues Tuesday on ESPN. Undefeated, #1 Kentucky taking on Mark Fox's team, a good Georgia Bulldogs team this year, as they continue their pursuit of perfection. Tuesday night, 9 Eastern on ESPN.
Kentucky's getting better. They're getting better offensively. I think they're getting energized as they go toward the end of the season, and the tournament starts to become a reality.
They're up big on Arkansas today, up 22 right now, closing in on another win.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking for who can beat them, and picking Arkansas and grasping at whatever straw to get them challenged. And they're really keeping Arkansas at bay. And Arkansas is a good basketball team, and Kentucky's taking it to them.
If you had to pick one team in America who can beat them in a Final Four type atmosphere, who's going to be?
It probably Wisconsin. If Virginia were healthy, it's got to be somebody that can control tempo and that can defensive rebound.
And if I gave you Kentucky or the field for the tournament, who would you take?
I'd take Kentucky. But I'd feel uneasy about it. You've got a 1-and-out situation. You feel uneasy about it, but I would take Kentucky.
Tied at 31, 2:35 to go. Good first half here in Lawrence.
Devontae Graham on Isaiah Taylor. Got to stay in front of him.
Floater by Yancey, no.
Just a poor shot by Kendall Yancey.
And a push on Ibeh.
And that's the kind of foul you don't want to get if you're Texas, because Kansas gets to walk 94 feet and go to the free throw line and score with no defense.
19 fouls, so 1-1 coming for the Jayhawks. Ellis back into the game now for Kansas.
And Kansas has been efficient at the free throw line. What are they, 11 of 12?
Yes. Texas 10 for 15. It'll be Kelly Oubre. So you have the power of the Jinx as well. Don't underestimate your powers, my friend.
These broadcasters think so much of themselves. Can we affect the tides too? Say something about the weather so we can get a flight out tomorrow.
Taylor and Mason, good matchup at the point. Taylor cradles high off the glass. Not quite enough English, though. And back come the Jayhawks.
Not quite enough passing either. You go 1-on-5, essentially. You make the Kansas defense move first, and then you can get that.
Good job by Lucas, and now a little miscommunication there.
Boy, good job to get in the lane, but just a poor pass. It's not there. Pull it back out. You don't want to pick up your dribble until you've got somewhere to pass it.
If you're Rick Barnes, how are you feeling about the first half so far?
Not bad. I mean, they've made some mistakes, and I think, especially on offense, pulling the trigger a little bit too early without really putting some pressure on Kansas's defense.
Yancey has it rejected by Sviatoslav Mikhailuk, whose minutes have really dwindled to almost nothing in conference play after he started 6 games early. The freshman.
Well, Yancey let him block that shot by double clutching. You go straight up, you're going to get fouled or make the bucket or both.
He can shoot it. The freshman from Ukraine, and you can hear the chant of Svi after he blocked the shot.
Sviatoslav Mikhailuk.
Yes, well done.
Don't you miss Joe Smith?
I do miss Joe Smith. There's another rebound for eBay. He's given Rick Barnes a lot of minutes with a number of the other bigs for Texas on the bench with 2 fouls.
You want to let one of the big guys touch it here. Or just go 1-on-5 again.
And he got called for the offensive foul using the off arm.
Just a bad decision by Isaiah Taylor. He's had such a good first half. But that's 2 possessions in a row. He's got 1-on-5. Not one pass. And just pushes off there, gets an offensive foul. But even if he didn't get the offensive foul, there was nowhere for him to go.
6 seconds between the game clock and the shot clock.
That's what Kansas runs a lot. Late clock situations. Get a little fade screen in the corner if they can.
And Ellis lost it out of bounds.
Yeah, Bill Self not happy with the execution.
Timeout called Texas.
And a timeout called by Rick Barnes.
Well, Texas has been difficult to deal with on its defensive end. As per usual, it is a hard team to score on. His limo, I happened to be there because he needed somebody to fan him and feed him grapes. Well, Patrick Abrahams, the absolute stud of our group, drove through a driving snowstorm just so we could see you, Dan.
Oh, thank you. Well, Shannon was looking forward to doing some color commentary if you hadn't made it in today.
Well, she wouldn't have gotten a word in edgewise like I can.
Great scene at Wichita, by the way. What a morning you guys had.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there are no nicer people. Nobody's cornered the market on nice people, but there are no nicer people than in the state of Kansas.
Felix. Wide open. Holland for 3. And it'll go at the end of the half. And the Longhorns will leave the court with a lead here at Allen Fieldhouse.
Another nice drive. Javon Felix getting into the paint, and wide open was DeMarcus Holland. And that's the shooter's bounce. Soft rims.
Shannon Spinks with Bill Self.
Coach, you've been asking your guys to score more around the basket. They've done that. What else do you think about the offense?
Well, I don't think we made a 3, if I'm not mistaken, and we didn't shoot many. And then we got the ball to the rim, and they did such a good job of blocking or altering shots.
For his players, especially on offense, he says he wants to see those guys finish around the rim. His eyes will be on the bigs. He said they've got to be alert, they've got to be ready to attack.
They lost 3 in a row coming into this game. At Oklahoma, at home to Iowa State, and then at West Virginia. They're just 6-9 in league play. 4 of those 6 wins have come against the bottom 2 teams in the league, TCU and Texas Tech. But they are giving Kansas all they can handle so far here today.
And one guy that has got to perform at a higher level for Texas in the second half is Jonathan Holmes. He is too good of a player to have a bagel in the first half.
No points, just 1 rebound in the first half for Holmes. Yancey, good help there by Traylor.
Like a walk.
Yancey driving on Oubre, created a little space, bounces off the rim though. And here come the Jayhawks, who made only 1 field goal in the last 7 minutes and 16 seconds of the first half. Oubre had a good first half. That'll roll off the rim. So a pretty good look for both teams here in the opening seconds of the second half.
Well, some contact as he went up, but if Oubre had not double clutched and gone straight up to the rim, I think he would have gotten that foul. Oftentimes when you double clutch, you're either going to get your shot blocked, you're not going to finish, and you're certainly not going to get a foul as often.
eBay starts the second half for Texas instead of Ridley.
Well, eBay's been doing a great job protecting the basket and making himself available. What a box out by Jamari Traylor. That was more of a, that looked like more he was protecting the quarterback than protecting the rim.
Ellis for 3. And good blocking out by Lambert at the other end, keeping Traylor away from the rebound. Taylor, the kick. Yancey for 3.
Well, Selden did a nice job of pushing Holmes under the basket and then just letting the ball come back out.
And Ellis called for the offensive foul.
Just lowered that shoulder. Taylor had initial guarding position, 2 feet on the floor, facing the ball handler. And those are the kind of charges that I think need to be valued in college basketball, where the primary defender. Now, did he put a little bit extra in that? Yes, but he had position. That shoulder got lowered. That was a good call.
A good pace here in the second half, but nobody's broken the seal yet as they've gone up and down about 3 times apiece.
It's almost like everybody's looking over their shoulder to who's coming to block their shot.
After 13 of them in the first half, 7 by Kansas and 6 by Texas.
And the biggest one by Cliff Alexander. I've never seen that before. I mean, obviously they'll remedy that, but that was really funny.
Could be a SportsCenter top 10 nominee. If anybody can find the tape. Yancey spinning, dishing, and eBay can't finish.
Didn't go up strong. Another double clutch.
And then Selden draws the foul.
Well, anytime you double clutch, you jackknife, you're giving shot blockers a better opportunity to block your shot. And Kendall Yancey draws the defender, Jamari Traylor, and that's one that eBay should have just thrown down instead of worrying about somebody bothering it.
The 3rd foul on Jonathan Holmes. And that's going to send him to the bench here early in the second half. DeMarcus Holland back in.
Selden doing a nice job seeking out the body of Jonathan Holmes when he didn't have the angle. And Rick Barnes probably telling him that's one you got to let go. You got to avoid that. Can't have you on the bench. Well, in this second half, Dan, the free throw line is going to be a huge factor. 3-point line is important. Free throw line is gigantic.
Each team's been to the line 15 times today. Kansas has made 12, Texas 10. Lambert for 3. He knew he left it short, and he runs down the rebound.
It looked like Mason had that, and then Lambert was able to knock it away.
And Mason is looking at one of the officials as if to say, he grabbed me. Boy, Texas may rue the missed opportunities here in the opening minutes of the second half.
That's another one by eBay where he had that to dunk, but at least to finish. And you get 2 opportunities like that. That's 4 points essentially given away by Texas on the road. You don't get great opportunities here at Allen Fieldhouse. You cannot give them away.
And they've still had just 1 point scored here in the second half as Taylor fouls Mason. Second on Taylor.
And Mason looking to drive it at every opportunity. Kansas has had a hard time staying in front of Isaiah Taylor, as most teams do.
And now eBay's inability to finish, Jay, is going to banish him to the bench. Ridley's back in.
Well, he's playing hard. I mean, it's not like you want to fault a player for going after it, but those are things that you have to finish. And Shannon Spake just told us that Rick Barnes had talked about watching these big guys and are they going to finish plays.
Selden with a tough jumper over Holland to tie the game.
Well, Selden's a guy that I think can be an even better scorer than he is. Texas screening a big guy to get a ball screen and get some separation.
Lammert misses another three. Holland with an incredible save. Taylor spins, banks, and hits.
It is so hard to stay in front of him. You give Texas a second bite at the apple after getting that offensive rebound. That's on DeMarcus Holland. That was a great individual play by Holland to give Texas another shot at it.
And Selden draws another foul.
Kansas's first shot defense on that last possession was good, but they didn't finish it by getting a box out and a defensive board, and it led to a kiss off the glass and a bucket. And DeMarcus Holland's just going to get an offensive rebound. He should get a big old assist on that.
That foul's on Lammert, his third. Miles Turner comes in. Good thing for Rick Barnes. He's got a lot of bigs. Not that they're necessarily interchangeable, but Holmes and Lammert are both on the bench with 3 right now.
The problem is you start racking up these fouls, and then your defense has to back off after a while, because every common foul after 7, you're going to be putting Kansas at the free throw line. They've already got 3 fouls in this second half.
And they're knocking down their free throws, the Jayhawks are. Taylor will get probably a brief rest until the under-16 media timeout as Felix takes his place.
Kansas putting a little token pressure in the backcourt. Felix has been struggling of late. Coming into the game, he hit only 1 of his last 10.
Only played 2 minutes Tuesday at West Virginia. Going to drive around Ellis baseline, bounce pass into the corner to an open Holland. And a good rebound by Traylor. And then a held ball as Turner runs him down. The arrow will give it to Kansas, but the crowd wanted a foul.
Well, Kansas keeps the ball with the arrow. Both teams really going after it. It looked as if Ridley came over the back. There's some contact there, but that's just two guys going after it hard.
Mason gets by Felix, but not by Turner. Stolen away by Selden, and then they give it right back.
Boy, Selden made a nice play and just couldn't corral it.
And that's how Rick Barnes wants to see his big guys finish. It's Ridley from Felix.
It's a beautiful drive by Javon Felix. And when there's nobody between Ridley and the basket, he's a finisher. You stay between him and the rim, and you have a chance to make him miss.
Selden with a 16-footer. Left it short. Mason with the offensive rebound. Got it.
Second chances. However they come, you're going against the defense that didn't set.
Yancey, boy, that's a strong drive. He just shoved Oubre back a ways and banks it home.
That's just poor transition defense. Frank Mason didn't get back. And you give up an easy basket after working hard to get a second chance opportunity. And Texas with a 2-point lead on the road.
In a game they desperately need to improve their resume. Ellis out to Selden. He'll rise up for a 3. And Ridley down with a rebound.
So many big bodies for Kansas to go against. Getting an offensive rebound has not been easy.
Turner with the turnaround jumper over Ellis, and the lead grows to 4.
A lot of guys can't make that shot. Usually you make a big guy catch it off the lane, and you've done your work. Against Turner, he can make that turnaround jumper. He can make a jump hook, and he can face you up.
Oubre baseline. Blocked by Turner. That is the 9th block for Texas in this game, and they've got a lead here in the second half.
Texas challenges everything at the rim, but Kansas continuing to challenge. And Frank Mason going in with the left hand. Miles Turner knocks it away, and then Kansas on its end. Those are the high percentage shots you need to win on the road.
Syracuse-Duke at
95. Nick Collison, 24 points, 23 rebounds, and a 3-point win over Texas. Also against Texas, Kevin Durant scores 25 in the first half, turns his ankle midway through the second half, comes back, wasn't the same, winds up with 32. KU wins 90-86.
And that Collison performance, 24 points, 23 rebounds, even got Dick Vitale up to give a standing ovation to Nick Collison. Just an extraordinary performance by a great player that's had his number retired here at Kansas.
And that was the year both of these programs wound up in the Final Four. This was 2003. Texas losing to Syracuse in the national semifinal, and then Kansas losing to Syracuse for the national championship.
Well, if you remember that national title game against Syracuse, if Kansas had knocked down free throws, they would have had themselves another national title.
Ellis with a free pass to the goal. And then Yancey racing it down the court to restore the 4-point advantage.
And this is the way, Dan, that Texas can play. They can get the ball up and down the floor. They just need to be more resolute in doing it. And that's without Isaiah Taylor on the floor. Getting it in quickly and getting all the way down the floor after a made field goal and getting a bucket. Yancey did a great job of running the court and attacking the rim and playing ahead of the Kansas defense.
Let's go to Shannon.
Coach Self urging his guys to play with more energy. Perry Ellis was certainly listening in that last huddle. He told them we have to defend and we have to rebound. He said guys are getting every loose ball. We got to do a better job.
All right, Shannon, thank you. At the line, Brandon Green.
This guy is a big-time shooting talent. Every time he shoots it, you think it's going in. How can 16,000 people be so quiet?
You ruined such a wonderful moment right there. Green to the bench and Selden back in. And Green looking like he's favoring his leg a little bit. He's going to get that looked at on the end of the bench right now. It is remarkable because this place shakes sometimes with noise. And then you're right, the KU player goes to the line. It goes stone cold quiet. Ridley with a turnaround over Lucas.
Cameron Ridley does not make a lot of those, and Landon Lucas did a really nice job of making him shoot over. So that's a really good sign for Texas. If Cam Ridley can be a threat down in that low post.
Texas started the second half 0 for 7. Since then, they are 6 for 7.
But Kansas just not able to get deep post touches. They're not moving guys up the lane, able to get into their 2-game and get easy baskets with their big guys.
Ellis working hard but couldn't finish, and back come the Longhorns.
And still, Kansas has yet to get some looks from three-point range. The best three-point shooting team in the league.
As a team, they are 40% on the season from beyond the arc, but they're 0 for 7 today.
Well, Kansas has shot 41% from three-point range in Big 12 play. And Brandon Green has been a big part of that, but he's had a couple open looks and hasn't been able to get him to go down. Now 2 point guards in the game for each team. So Isaiah Taylor and Javon Felix both can play the point. Same thing for Frank Mason and Devontae Graham.
Ellis will try to drive Ridley again. Now he kicks off to Graham. Still plenty of time.
Nice crossover.
Hangs in the air. Off the rim, and Turner doing a good job on the glass today. He's playing with a lot of activity and energy.
Well, Texas blocks a lot of shots, but what doesn't get into the stat sheet is how many they change. And that was a change shot because of the size of Miles Turner. He changed that shot of Devontae Graham and limited his opportunity to make a drive where he could normally score.
And Turner averages better than 2.5 blocks per game. Ridley block shots, eBay block shots. Taylor trying to do it all himself, and he will.
Wow. Just gets by Devontae Graham with that pivot. And you've got to, look, it's easy to say stay in front of him. The one thing you got to do is you've got to make him score over you. And big guys cannot come off to let him drop it off for an easy one.
And Turner should get credit for a block there. Texas with the ball and the largest lead of the game. Taylor splits the D. Ridley flying to the rim, but a foul going against the Longhorns on Turner. Timeout on the floor, but Isaiah Taylor and Texas trying to pull off an upset here today.
Just can't stay in front of him. He pivots and gets Graham off his feet. And all of a sudden, Texas in good position here at Allen Fieldhouse. and Ron Baker to Cale Cotton. You're not going to find many that are better. And that is a phenomenal backcourt that can take you a good long way in the NCAA tournament if they stay healthy.
If those two programs wind up to say 4 seeds, something along those lines, do you think they have earned that with their resumes this year?
Yeah. No question. I mean, you can make the argument they've done more and earned more. I mean, they're both very good. The fact that they don't have as many chances for RPI top 50 wins and the like playing in the Missouri Valley Conference doesn't change the fact that they're really, really good.
And some of the discussion gets had every now and again, not more than every now and again, about Gonzaga. They've had a fantastic season. The only loss for the Zags on the road in overtime at Arizona. If they run the table, regular season, postseason in the WCC, is there any doubt in your mind they deserve a #1 seed?
There's no doubt in my mind they deserve it. It just depends on what the committee wants to value. If you're going to go with this RPI stuff, then and who you play, who you beat, then somebody else has to get it. But, this is how ridiculous the RPI is. Kansas... I don't think Kansas is the #2 team in the country. They're #2 in the RPI. They were #1 in the RPI until they lost to Kansas State.
A very strong strength of schedule, obviously helping them, even though they didn't win all those games.
Now Kansas going with a 3-2 zone. Kelly Oubre coming up to the top. So an odd man front. That means you're going to want to have a 2-guard front going against it. But it's a 1-3-1 alignment by Texas.
Holland ran into his own man, Turner, and they turn it over. The NBA Sunday Showcase is on ABC tomorrow. It starts with NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern Time. Then at 1, it'll be the Clippers and the Bulls, followed up at 3:30 by the Cavs and the Rockets. Great doubleheader tomorrow on ABC.
Kansas needs to continue to try to move these Texas big guys around out in the perimeter. They had some success putting them in ball screens in the first half. In the second half, Kansas has not gotten a lot of good opportunities.
Selden draws the foul. Lucas touched that ball when it was up on the rim, so it'll be 2 free throws coming now for Selden, who has been a determined young man here in the second half, trying to get the ball to the glass and to the rim.
Well, the more you can get the ball to the rim, and you have to go into the contact. Texas is blocking a lot of shots, and look, it's hard to do. When you're getting your shot blocked, guys don't like that. But you have to continue to seek the contact out in order to get fouls, because the free throw line is where Kansas can score. And they're not going to get their shot blocked at the free throw line. Keep getting there, and that's the most efficient place for them to score.
Texas leads the country with 7.4 blocks per game. They've got 10 today.
And part of the reason is because Kansas keeps attacking that. They've not been hitting from the perimeter, so they keep getting to the rim. But I like the way they're putting themselves in the position to get fouled.
Taylor, and he got clotheslined or clubbed. We'll have to get a look at a replay as he went down hard.
Went down on that left shoulder, and that's shades of the game in Madison Square Garden against Iowa, where he went down and was lost for 10 games. And
got a hand right in the face from Lucas.
Yeah, there was nothing intentional there, nothing flagrant. That was right on the face.
Oh, got hit twice.
Yeah. Clear there was a foul.
And they're going to have a look at it. So he got hit the first time by Lucas and then the second time by Ellis.
See, you wonder sometimes, are we going to the monitor because he hit the ground hard and held his shoulder, or are we going because he thought it was flagrant? And I thought it was pretty clear in live action. It wasn't. I don't know why we take this much time, but...
So 2 free throws coming for Taylor.
At the line, shooting 2, Isaiah Taylor.
82% on the season. First free throws of the second half for the Longhorns.
When Texas, Dan, moves the ball up and down the floor quickly, this is a team that I think can be much better in transition. When you struggle to score in the half court, you want to get it up and down the floor as quickly as you can. And they've gotten some opportunities in this game to get it up and down the floor, and they've looked really good when they have. The other team that did that to Kansas and does it really to everybody is Iowa State. Iowa State's a great model of getting the ball up the floor quickly.
Another rejection, and eBay got all of that one.
Well, his name is Prince, but he's been the king of the lane defensively, blocking shots. Look how he goes up straight. He doesn't bring his arms down, give the officials the opportunity to call a foul. And that second jump to block that shot, by Perry Ellis. That's a big-time block shot.
And that is now 11 blocks for Texas in this game.
So you've got to get both eBay and Miles Turner away from the bucket. If one of them can just stand there, it's going to be block shot city. Great take by Perry Ellis.
18 for Ellis.
Back into the zone. A little bit of confusion, but a nice screen up top by Miles Turner to free up Taylor.
Leach misses the corner three, and then two Kansas players both kind of run by the ball, thinking the other guy was going to get it.
Well, they're leaking out early. Frank Mason was trying to go the other way, and you got to go get the ball first. That screen up top on Oubre that's being set by Miles Turner is really effective getting Taylor into the lane.
And Rick Barnes will use a timeout. eBay and then Holland were trapped on the baseline. So we'll step aside with Texas leading by 4. Ever in this building. They are 1-10 in this building. That win was back in 2011, but they are leading Kansas right now. The Jayhawks, Jay, have not lost a home game this season.
Well, this may not be a vintage Bill Self team. It's not his best team, but boy, this team has done a lot of really good things. When you look at the schedule that Kansas has played and how Kansas has done against this schedule, there's a lot of great things that the Jayhawks have done this year. But if you're an opponent, you have to feel like, boy, if we can't get them this year, when can we get them? And I think Texas has to feel that way right now, especially with a 4-point lead with under 9 minutes to go in regulation. This is on Texas's racket. Can they hold serve?
Yancey left it short. Oubre's got it for Kansas. Ellis. And a foul.
A good battle by Perry Ellis. Went hard to the basket over 2 shot blockers and 2 big bodies in Ridley and Turner. And he was just quicker to the ball. When you got 2 shot blockers going after it, oftentimes when you get your shot blocked, it's the guy shooting that's going to get the ball back. Spoken by a guy who got a shot blocked a while.
That rebound, by the way, gives Ellis a double-double, and the free throw now makes it 19 points, 10 rebounds for Ellis as we check in with Shannon.
Well, Dan, Coach Self saying this week that Perry Ellis is really playing very close to his ceiling. Wayne Selden told me yesterday he's just being a lot more aggressive, and his emotions, the team rides on him. He said he is the emotional horse, and we all just get on and go for the ride. He really moves the ship right now.
Well, third straight 20-plus point game for Perry Ellis, and Kansas back within 2.
Kansas back to man-to-man. And Dan, Kansas can be aggressive. They only got 2 team fouls. Now, you don't want to foul, but you don't want to be afraid of it either.
Selden with a block from behind on Ridley.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots and in part by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2015 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award, and new Aleve PM. Aleve PM for a better AM.
Words and poetry she was determined to overcome. SC Featured presents Her Voice, premieres tomorrow, 11 a.m. on SportsCenter. With Jay Billis, Shannon Spake, Dan Shulman back with you at Allen Fieldhouse. And what a good game this has been. Texas trying to pull off a fairly sizable upset on the road here in Lawrence, and they are leading Kansas 50-48 with 7:55 to go.
And how about the Jayhawks? Only 4 field goals in the second half, 4 of 17. But Dan, they're 9 of 10 from the free throw line. That's where this game's going to be won or lost, is the free throw line.
Holland, what a drive by DeMarcus Holland. Not really known for his offense as much as his defense, but he's got a dozen.
Well, Kansas has given up a couple of opportunities out of an out-of-bounds underneath situation.
Ellis out for a screen. Selden driving, another block. Turner with his 4th of the game, but Ellis is there to put it home, and he's got 22.
Well, it's been after the block that Kansas has gotten some good things. Now the crowd's starting to get into it to try to implore these Jayhawks to get a stop. But Texas, well, they've been as strong as I've seen them all season long.
Turner for 3. well short.
Well, why did he take that shot?
And Rick Barnes is taking him right out of the game. He pointed right at Jonathan Holmes after the shot.
That just didn't make any sense.
Oubre counting.
Dan, there are ways you lose and ways you win. And Kansas showing how you win. You go to the bucket when you have an advantage situation and you complete a play. Now, that's a very difficult shot that Kelly Oubre just hit. But, boy, they certainly had a lot of confidence after the bad shot that was taken on the other end by Miles Turner.
So Turner's on the bench, and Ridley just picked up his 4th foul. And Kansas has the lead. Taylor for a long jumper. Texas back on top.
But Kansas goes under on the high screen, and Isaiah Taylor just stops and pops. Now if you go over the top, he's going to be able to turn the corner. And with his speed and how crafty he is with the ball, he can get some opportunities at the rim.
15 for Taylor. Good ball screen. Mason. Kansas back on top. First 3 of the game for the Jayhawks. Taylor right at Ellis. Rebound down to Oubre.
Big time rebound by Oubre.
Ellis kicks it back out. Mason saves.
But how big was that board by Kelly Oubre?
His Holmes was flying and looking for the rebound. Mason a little push off. Misses the jumper. Under 6 minutes to go. Felix. Ellis got him. It'll be a held ball, and it will stay with Texas.
Well, how many confrontations have we seen at the rim? With both teams going after block shots and getting them, especially Texas. You talk about rim protection. Texas has the rim absolutely covered up.
23 blocks in the game, Jay. 13 by Texas, 10 by Kansas, and we've got a timeout on the floor.
And Texas free throws.
Yeah.
They're continuing to get to the free throw line. They've knocked out, 9 of 10 in the second half. And if they continue to get to the line, Texas can't block their shot at the free throw line.
What do they have to do? Texas at the offensive end.
I think when they've run that high ball screen to get Isaiah Taylor into the paint, he's got to continue to get into the paint. But they've got to move the ball, and they've got to get a little bit more player movement. There's been more standing around on offense in this second half than we saw in the first. Screen for the screener. That is too easy.
Holmes from Taylor. Tie game.
Javon Felix just sets a little back screen, diagonal back screen, and then he's going to get a screen himself. After setting the screen, he's going to be screened for. And Jonathan Holmes, who got that initial screen, just got all the way to the basket.
Ellis puts Kansas back on top. What a game Ellis is having. He's got 24 points and 11 rebounds.
Well, this is the kind of player that Phil Self wants him to be, an attack forward. He can score in a variety of ways.
Mason staying in front of Taylor. No easy task. Holmes a deep 3. Lucas holds off Turner for the rebound.
A great block out by Landon Lucas. I think you want to use Miles Turner in ball screens. Get him away from the rim.
Oubre spinning and hitting.
That young man's got a lot of talent. The lefty freshman has played some of his best basketball, coming off a big game against Kansas State. He's got another one.
Timeout, Rick Barnes. Kansas on a 12-4 run.
Well, as we have discussed, Perry well. He's played hard. And a couple of those rebounds that he's gotten have been big-time, in-traffic, two-handed rebounds that men get.
13 points, 6 rebounds for Oubre, 24 points, 11 rebounds for Ellis, 12 points for Mason. Those three have carried the load for Kansas here today. Texas ball.
Texas had a lead in this game, and Kansas has wrested it away. And now with 4.5 to go in regulation, what's Texas made of on the road in one of the most difficult places to play in college basketball? Really with their postseason hopes perhaps on the line.
Felix pulls up, in and out, rebound Oubre.
A tough shot. And now Kansas has got to be, they've been tough on defense. Can the Jayhawks now be tough on offense and get the shot that they want?
Ellis passed up the three, drives it, and draws the foul. Holmes called for the foul. His fourth.
And because Perry Ellis can hit that shot, that gives him shot credibility. And so if he gives you a little shot fake, just looks at the basket, you lift up a little bit, and he can drive it either way. And not many big guys from 18, 19 feet can drive it with their left hand or their right. But Perry Ellis can do that.
So in his last 3 games, Jay, he's now had 23 points against TCU, 24 against Kansas State, and 25 and counting here against Texas.
Well, the junior from Wichita came in, a McDonald's All-American. He's had some great games. Consistency at the highest level has been where he's wanted to get. And he has shot over 50% in Big 12 play, over 50% from 3, and has played very, very well of late.
That's his first miss at the line today. He's 9 for 10. Taylor off balance, got it to go.
I don't know what else you can do. Frank Mason did a good job there. He stayed in front. He made Isaiah Taylor finish a difficult runner in the just outside the lane, going away from the rim. That's good defense, just better offense.
17 for Taylor. Ellis sizing up eBay. Threw up a prayer that wasn't answered, and back come the Longhorns. Taylor with a full head of steam.
A big possession right here for Texas. They got to get a score.
What a good matchup this has been at the point all day long. And now Mason is called for the foul.
Yeah, he got an arm bar on him. That's going to be a foul every time.
Our last media timeout. 3:13 to go. Isaiah Taylor and Texas trying to pull off a big-time upset on the road. The sophomores got 17. Longhorns ball when we come back. Great games coming your way tonight on the ESPN family of networks. As mentioned, Syracuse and Duke are coming your way shortly, and everybody knows what that game has meant over the last couple of years. 9 Eastern tonight. Top 2 teams in the Pac-12, Arizona and Utah. And pretty much a battle for top spot in that conference. Don't forget the Zags are playing tonight. Also, it's BYU 10 Eastern on ESPN2. In the Big 12 today, Oklahoma won at home against TCU. Iowa State lost at Kansas State by 1. West Virginia lost at Baylor. Oklahoma State lost at Texas. So 2 of the teams who were a game back of Kansas at the outset of play today, West Virginia and Iowa State, lost today. Floater by Taylor, no. Rebound Ellis, his 12th.
Well, that was a very difficult shot. Not a pass made by Texas. Obviously a lot of contact. This has been a physical game. But Frank Mason made Isaiah Taylor take a difficult one, and a great block out by Perry Ellis.
Oubre looking inside, and a foul on Miles Turner. It'll be 2 free throws the rest of the way for Kansas. Meanwhile, the Jayhawks have only committed 3 fouls in the second half.
And that means that Kansas can be really aggressive without fear of putting Texas on the line. That gives them a lot of options going down the stretch. Landon Lucas shoots 85% in Big 12 play and puts it off the heel of the rim.
eBay to the bench, and Holmes back in as Rick Barnes will start subbing his big guys in and out based on whether or not they'll have the ball. So no Cliff Alexander today for Kansas, being withheld for precautionary reasons. A potential NCAA issue is all Kansas is saying. Lucas makes 1 or 2. So Lucas getting some crunch time minutes. Taylor spinning again. Turner. And a foul on Lucas, I believe.
With all the contact in this game, that's a foul. Wow.
His third, team's fourth.
Well, there's still plenty of fouls to give. It just gives Texas a little more, a brand new clock.
Hollins. Big three from the corner for DeMarcus Holland, and Texas is back within one.
Well, Texas has executed very well on out-of-bounds underneath plays, and Bill Self wants a timeout. You know, that foul call really gave Texas an opportunity to set something up in their out-of-bounds underneath, where they have, you know, they got a screen for the screener, play a layup, then they get a wide-open three. You can see just a double screen there, and Landon Lucas unable to get out there and put pressure on that shot. All of them throughout the course of the season. They can get a lot better. You know, maybe challenge Kentucky. The one thing we probably didn't make as big a deal is Kentucky can get better, and they have. Kentucky's much better now than they were a month ago.
Yep.
And I think they're going to get better from here to the end of the season as they head into postseason play. I really like the way that Andrew Harrison is starting to attack, and especially attacking in full court situations.
Something his coach has been on him to do for most of the season. Kansas with the ball in a 1-point lead, 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go here at Allen Fieldhouse. Lucas deflected away by Yancey, and then it winds up in the hands of Ellis.
Boy, the quickness getting off the floor and the use of the left hand. Big time.
27 for Ellis. And Mason reaches around the back of Taylor and fouls him, and Taylor a little bit slow to get up.
Smart play, because Taylor was getting by Frank Mason and was going to get all the way to the rim and either get it up himself or drop it off to a big guy for an easy dunk. That foul, I think, saved a bucket.
Second on Mason, 15 foul. eBay out, Holmes in. Taylor to inbound for the Longhorns.
And let's see if Kansas can do a better job defending the inbounds plays of Texas. Texas got some really good things off their inbounds.
We talk about bumping cutters. Oubre just gave Holmes a heck of a shot as he was trying to get inside. And KU will capitalize at the other end. Selden to Lucas. And now Lucas called for a foul.
Lucas had 2 hands on him. They're going to call that 99% of the time. But a terrific job by Wayne Selden. Looked like he was going to take it up against the shot blocker, and he just lobs it up over Miles Turner to Landon Lucas. And boy, you're right, Dan. The baseline out of bounds. Another screen for the screener. And Texas got a good shot. Just didn't shoot it well. Same play again.
Yancey knocks it down. Another big three for Texas.
Boy, if Texas can just get an opportunity to take it out, baseline out of bounds every time, their efficiency rate's been really high. Same play, screen for the screener, and Yancey gets a wing jump shot and knocks it down. And all of a sudden, there's a heck of a lot more game pressure on Kansas. Yancey sets the screen and then gets a screen. Screen for the screener action. Texas has run this multiple times. That's when they got that shot for.
Inch a little bit closer to Kansas. Also, the foul total for KU went from 3 to 6 in the last couple of minutes. So the next one, if there is one, even if it's a non-shooting foul, would put Texas on the line.
But really amazing that Texas has gone almost 19 minutes in the second half without getting to the free throw line on a common foul. And now for Kansas, Texas, they don't have to foul. They can play this out, and they're only down 2 points. But Kansas, if they go up strong, they've got an opportunity to go to the free throw line.
Oubre almost lost it.
Kansas going into some ball screen action to move these big guys around.
Final minute of regulation. Mason, Taylor stays with him. Shot clock now starting to run down. Ellis slips. Texas ball.
Bad possession by Kansas.
And then Taylor is fouled.
Wow. That was quite a sequence.
Number 3 on Mason.
Poor possession by Kansas. Give credit to Texas for good defense. I don't know about that one. I don't know. That's a bailout bad call, really. I didn't like it live action, but
1-1 for Taylor.
Texas is only down 2. They can play this one out.
And now maybe a clock issue. Which will again give each coach a de facto timeout here with 41 seconds left. Start on ESPN News, and we'll take you to Cameron as soon as this one is over here in Lawrence.
Boy, they've taken an awfully long time to resolve a 2-second issue.
Yeah.
All you have to do is look back at the initial action on the rebound.
There it is, 2 seconds.
Yeah. 2-second issue took 4 minutes.
Mike Stewart over to help us out. They took 2 seconds off both the game clock and the shot clock. A little pressure here from Texas. So about an 11-12 second difference between the game clock and the shot clock.
Here comes a high ball screen, bringing eBay away from the bucket.
Shot clock at 7. Mason driving. Can't get it up on the rim. It's still loose.
Shot clock violation. That depends on when they call it.
Yeah. Do they call the held ball first?
And Frank Mason is injured. Hurt his ankle. But this depends on when the whistle was blown.
Now, if they call the held ball first, it's going to stay with Kansas, right? Because they've got the arrow.
Boy, this is a big issue here.
A huge call.
It looked like that whistle was blown before it got to 0.
It is a shot clock violation.
Now Texas down 2 with 12.4 seconds to go in regulation. Kansas, if you remember earlier on, had fouls to give. They certainly don't anymore.
So Texas with a couple of timeouts and the ball down by 2 with 12.4 to go. And it'll start with Taylor. Spinning.
That's a foul. That is a foul.
Mason is really laboring with that left ankle. He's back down on a knee.
Well, he's got guts to stay in the game after he injured that ankle. But that's hard to believe that there was a ton of contact there and no call. I mean, come on. That's a foul.
Ellis got him hard on the arm.
That's not even. That's crazy. That's a poor job by the official. That's unfortunate. Because that's a foul. And it's a foul on the ball. It's not like it's a cutter.
One more makes it a 2-possession game.
Well, Kansas has really hung in there because Texas hit them with everything they had, especially around the bucket. This can make it a 2-possession game and effectively end it. Well, the free throw line, Dan, has really been a huge factor for the Jayhawks. Here you can see again the last play, the spin move.
Ellis reaching in.
It could have been Ellis, but that was a bump by Frank.
To check if the right amount of time came off the clock on that throw-in by Connor Lambert. It started at 6.1. It's at 5.2 now.
Do we get a ratings bump for all the television the officials are watching?
Syracuse Duke on ESPN News Now and here on ESPN when we are done.
Boy, Perry Ellis has had a spectacular game. 27 points, 12 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, and 3 blocks in 38 minutes. And Kansas 25 of 30 from the free throw line. We talked about the importance of that free throw line. And if Kansas winds up winning it, they'll be able to point to that line and say that's the spot that this game was won.
The players are ready. 2 of the officials still over by the monitor, trying to determine if maybe too much time came off the clock. And again, this was at the request of a member of the Texas coaching staff. And if you're Rick Barnes, every 10th of a second counts right now.
Well, you just don't want, I mean, there's nothing you do about the amount of time that's taken to resolve these issues, but you don't want it taken away your edge. So the officials say it was fine.
Yep. Lambert to inbound.
And DeMarcus Holland is the main guy to watch. He's been hitting a lot of threes.
Holmes for 3. Well off. And a Lambert foul. Just 1.6 seconds to go. And that's about all she wrote.
Well, this is a terrific win for Kansas, and they have had to scratch and claw for it.
They will remain undefeated at home. They'll go to 23-6 on the season, and maybe most importantly right here, right now, they will go to 12-4 in the league, Jay. But the other things that happened in the Big 12 today, Oklahoma's 11-5. The only way Kansas cannot at least share a part of the title is if they lose their last 2 and Oklahoma wins their last 2. Kansas's last 2 games, home to West Virginia, at Oklahoma.
This streak is absolutely remarkable. Just remarkable.
Let's take a look at today's 6th man of the game, brought to you by Motel 6. And the 6th man of the game is the sellout crowd here at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas wins again. And they beat Texas 69-64. For Jay Billish, Shannon Spake, I'm Dan Shulman, saying thanks for watching as we send it to Sean McDonough, Dick Vitale at Cameron Indoor Stadium.